All right. So it is my pleasure to be in studio with Mr. Steve Hilton, running for governor of California. Hopefully, the next governor of
Great to be
California.
with you, man.
Yeah, awesome. It always is. So
Yeah.
we're going to be talking about all things California coming up next on the Mike Harvey Show. Let's go. All right. So, Steve, you are in Bakersfield for a town hall.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about the town halls. Like, what do you do in these town hall meetings?
They're really, honestly, they've been great. We've been doing them all over the state.
Yeah.
We're calling it Califortable, the
You're right.
Califortable tour, because most of the questions that we get are in that area. And actually, it's like a huge part of what you're hearing everywhere you go in the state, that just people are so frustrated by the insane cost of living here, thanks to all these crazy Democrat policies. And so the thing I love about the town halls is that it's not me really talking. I do a very little kind of intro, but it's everybody's questions. And you learn so much. You really learn from the specific questions that people ask, the things that are bugging them. There are things that we've already been focusing on that came out of these town halls in the last month or so. For example, the real frustration with vehicle registration fees.
Right.
Just off the charts.
Oh,
the cost of
I have
insane.
3 vehicles and a motorcycle, so imagine what I'm spending, and most of them are newer vehicles.
Exactly. And so you've got the rest of the country, basically vehicle registration under $100.
Right.
Here, like 600, 700, 800, over 1,000.
Yeah.
There are people that have come to the town hall saying that for a particular configuration or whatever, 2,000, I've heard 2,500, insane.
Yeah.
And so that came directly out of that. I announced my plan a few weeks ago to cap that at the basic registration fee of $71 per vehicle per year.
It's stupid because I know there's people that are registering their vehicle, and I've done it through businesses and stuff in other states.
Yeah.
And bringing them here because you just can't afford to do it.
It's crazy. And
you can afford to start a whole other LLC just to own your vehicles.
Right. And it's just another example of they take more and more from us.
Right.
And we get less and less. We've got the worst roads in the country.
Right.
So it's not going on the roads.
And now they want to tax with the mileage.
Tax, exactly. They're going to track every mile you drive and then tax you for it. No, not when I'm governor. I will make sure that doesn't happen. And all of these taxes, I mean, it's just one thing after another. And then, of course, the cost of everything driven up by their climate insanity and all these regulations. And so really that's the focus. Of course, anyone can ask any question they want.
Yeah.
But there's really good energy in these town halls. We're getting hundreds of people each time, everywhere in the state.
Well, what do we have today? This is Bakersfield, California. We have over 200 registered, I believe it was.
Right, great. I mean, it's a weeknight. The weekend ones are even bigger.
Oh, I can only imagine.
For obvious reasons.
Especially in Southern California, right?
Yeah, although actually last weekend we were up in Sacramento on Saturday night. That was like 300 or so people coming along every single time. It's really, really great energy. And it just reflects, I think, what we saw also in that TV debate. The first TV debate in the governor's race was last week.
Yeah, and you crushed it.
Well, thank you. But, like I said, all I had to do was stand there and tell the truth.
Right.
Which is, it's 16 years now of one party rule.
It's not hard to look good in front of all these dummies.
Exactly. and like, what else is there? Who else can you blame for everything that's going wrong in California than these Democrats who've been in power? And there's an amazing number from the TV audience watching at home. 66% said that I made the best impression, that I won the debate.
Of course you did.
The nearest person was one of the Democrats on 17.
Yeah.
And so but that's not a Republican audience. That is a statewide TV audience of regular viewers. And it really got me excited about what I've always said, which is once we get to the general election, and it's very clear there's a choice between me and a Democrat, whoever they put there, I think that's when it'll become very clear to people. We don't have to put up with this in California. We don't have to live like this. Right. There is a choice. We can end this one-party rule, this outrageous, cruel regime that's hurting working people.
We were having a conversation in the other offices over across the street earlier today, and the question came up. Well, why are the Democrats pushing all this crazy agenda? Yeah. Because they know we're about to break the supermajority, and they're very, very afraid that you're going to be the next governor.
And rightly so, because I know how they do it. I understand how government works. I've worked inside of a government battling bureaucracy, all the interest groups. I'm not saying we did a perfect job. This was back in the day in the UK.
Well, it was like 15, 20 years ago.
Right? And in fact, I got very frustrated because my boss at the time wouldn't take on the kind of swamp and the entrenched interest and the civil service and the bureaucracy
it's kind of
as much as I wanted to do. So, but I know how to get it done. And I've been doing the work for 3 years now. I've been traveling the state, learning the issues, developing the solutions. I've got people now lined up to go into these agencies. Just 2 weeks ago, we launched Cal Doge.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk to you about that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Cal Doge, because I think it's such a cool concept. Like the two biggest things that I've seen you do in the past like month, Cal Doge and then the golden tickets. But let's talk about both. But let's talk about Cal Doge first.
Well, they're both part of the same thing, which is making sure we are properly prepared to take over and run an efficient, serious government. And that doesn't just happen overnight. You've got to put the plans in place, get the people in place. Cal Doge has basically got two functions. Number one is to find the fraud, right? We made an estimate, myself and
I don't think it's gonna be hard to find.
Well, exactly, but you're just getting into the specifics. So we've got a team already. Cal Doge is not just an idea; it's actual people. We have Jenny Ray LaRue, who ran for governor a few years ago. She's running it. We've got serious fraud investigators who've worked at the highest levels in the Department of Defense and in the federal system, running the fraud part. We've got special investigators. We've got a very strong advisory board bringing us tips. We've got our tip line, califraud.com. We're getting tips all the time. For example, something that came in through that was unbelievable, actually, but of course, totally believable in crazy California. And Gavin Newsom's insanity of free healthcare for illegal immigrants, $20 billion a year on that now when you add it all up. We've now got Mexican citizens in Mexico claiming healthcare benefits from us. Mexico, they're not even here. They're posing as illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
We have fake illegal immigrants.
That aren't even here, that are collecting checks.
Exactly. For healthcare, because of free healthcare for illegal immigrants.
Well, you know about they've hired some of these guys to be police officers too.
Exactly. It's just off the charts insanity. And then there's a new, and just this week, we're announcing a new, something we dug up just in the last week or so that we've been operating by we've got an AI partner going through the budgets, flagging things that are inconsistent. There's a fund that was supposed to be used when they legalized cannabis, right? There's a cannabis tax that is supposed to be used for substance abuse treatment and education. Well, we found at least $370 million is going directly in small grants that are hard to track to these Democrat organizations, using it to build the Democrat political machine, registering voters, pushing their political activism. So it's total fraud.
Oh yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
It's just it's the same as what happened with Fire Aid after the LA fires.
Right. Did any of the fire victims get any of that money?
No, and it ends up going to voter registration, all this kind of nonsense. And so that's a news story we found this week. And we're doing
Are you working with Elon Musk at all on this?
No, this is one we did have on our advisory board, and part of the process leading up to it was someone from National Doge as well.
Right.
So we're in a conversation there. But there's another really important part to Cal Doge, which is one half is the fraud.
Right.
The other half is actually rethinking the whole bureaucracy, the administrative state, whatever you want to call it, the swamp in Sacramento, all these endless total BS agencies where they are
the administrative state.
Exactly. And that's where a lot of the pain is coming from, and the bloat and the taxes, right? All these agencies churning out regulations and harassing businesses and families. And so that needs to be cut back, shut down. And we have a plan for doing that. I've actually got someone called Paul Miner, who many years ago, he ran
Paul Mitchell.
Not Mitchell. He's the Democrat data guy. This guy's called Paul Miner. He worked he worked for Governor Wilson and also Schwarzenegger. And he did an exercise like this. It's called the California Performance Review. Over 20 years ago. Nothing really happened. They implemented some of it, but most of it wasn't implemented. I've asked him to now update that work so we can massively reduce the size of this government bloat.
Good.
And so that work's going on now. Again, you can't, if you just wait till you're elected, you'll be scrambling around. I want to make sure we've got, a really good comparison is President Trump. If you think about how well prepared
day one he hit the ground running.
Exactly. So that's what I'm going to be, and we're doing that work right now.
Well, Steve, you might not know this, but I came from a farming family. I was just up at the farm show this morning, just like you were.
Yeah.
And I was talking to some of the other farmer friends and stuff up there about how they there's regulations and taxes and cost of labor and everything else have run out all of these small family farms, even to the point where they've got even the big family farms. It's all corporate now.
I know, it's disgusting. It's truly disgusting. And I increasingly I just think it's criminal what they're doing. They're destroying the fabric, the soul of California. And I love our farming industry. I've spent so much time in the Central Valley. I've been in the fields at harvest time. I've done all. I've really spent time with our farmers, understanding the issue,
Well,
and
farmers love you, man.
our ranchers as well. You know,
Right.
so
Oh,
don't
yeah.
forget the ranchers.
Lots of friends in that industry as well.
Exactly. I've been out on the horse riding on the, you know, so I really, really understand deeply the issues, and I'm very, and again, developing a plan to deal with it on water, the pesticides,
Yeah.
the energy cost, the labor regulations. There's endless things that make it impossible.
And what about oil? Because we're in Bakersfield, so Kern County cares a lot about oil.
Well, again, you've got this insane policy from the Democrats, which is in the name of climate, they're shutting down the industry here, destroying jobs and opportunity and communities. Like I've been, obviously Bakersfield, you know, out in Taft, you know, like you go there, it's the real hard. I was at I was at Oil Dorado.
Yeah. Which that's awesome. What a great event.
It's an amazing event. And you know, it's just so I have this twin emotion of, I say it's heartbreaking and infuriating when you see what they've done. I get so angry when I see, because it's also avoidable. So in respect of oil, we're basically, since this war on fossil fuels that they keep going on about, which is basically the last 20 years, they've been cutting back, shutting down our own production here in California to the point where we're producing like a fraction of what, you know, like a quarter or something, even less than that of what we used to. But we're barely using any less oil over that period. It's very
where's
steady.
it all coming from?
Other countries. We are shipping it in. So not that long ago, a few decades ago, we produced most of the oil we use right here, mostly here in Kern County, literally where we are. And now it's been reversed. Nearly 80% is now imported. It's a crime, and they're shipping it in.
It's moronic.
And our number one supplier of oil used to be California, used to be here.
Right.
Now Iraq.
Right.
Like, and they're shipping it in halfway around the world on these giant super tankers, spewing out carbon emissions because the super tankers run on bunker fuel, which is the most dirty, most polluting form of transportation you can imagine. And to make it all work, their insane scheme, they don't even count the carbon emissions until they're 12 miles off the coast. So they sort of pretend that they get all halfway across the world without any emissions. And the other one that just makes you laugh, if you didn't make you so angry, Newsom's in the climate conference in the Amazon. We now buy half the oil that's drilled in the Amazon rainforest in Ecuador. You know, it's just, and what are we doing it for? It's having zero impact on global temperatures or any of the things they say. It's not even reducing carbon emissions because of the shipping. I mean, now the insanity is because of the refineries closing down because we don't have enough California crude. Then you've got that happening. That makes gas prices go through the roof, as we're seeing. But the other, like, next consequence, if we're not careful, I mean, I'm very much in touch with the industry, is that the pipelines won't have enough business because there's not enough oil now to keep the pipelines open within California, just from Kern County to the Bay Area or to Long Beach. So guess what? We're going to have to now, if we're not careful, be sending it on trucks. So how is that good for the
one of the largest employers in Kern County used to be Chevron.
Yes.
They've shipped their headquarters out of here. It's all in Texas. I mean, they still have their oil fields here.
Yes.
But
I've been to that
thousands of jobs are gone. And you've been to the building?
I've been to the oil field. I've been out on the field. And the thing that and actually that's when you really understand what's going wrong and how to fix it. And actually it's a really good example of what you can do as governor if you really understand what you're doing. Because the way that they've been shutting down the oil production is through refusing to give permits for basic functions of drilling. So for maintaining existing wells, for expanding existing wells. So you've got a well that's at the last, like basically running out. It's like 5 barrels a day. It's producing something like that. You can do it. I think they call it sidetracking. You can make it, boost it up to 100 barrels, just give it an extra lease of life.
Okay.
And then the third is drilling new wells in existing fields. This is not drilling for oil in the middle of Yosemite. This is like an oil field that's already there, full of oil wells. There's a concrete pad. Again, I've seen it, right? There's a pad ready to go to drill a well, and they won't give you a permit. The oil is there. It's literally it's so maddening. But the point is that they're doing that through this agency of part of the administrative state, CalGEM, Geologic and Energy Management. And so actually turning that around is not that difficult. You don't need legislation. People sometimes say, how are you going to get anything done? Because they control the legislature. Obviously, we're going to try and work to to break the supermajority in the legislature and elect more Republicans. I see that very much as part of my role
Well,
as the
I
top
think
of the ticket.
there's a good chance of that happening even this year.
Exactly. So we got to work for that. But forget that, right? This is something you can do just directly by kicking out the climate fanatics from these bureaucracies, putting in pro-energy people, common sense people, and me saying through an executive order, issue every permit that's requested even before it's requested if we can. And then I think we can start to boost up production and hopefully save more refineries, get gas prices down, and get our industry working here. There's a very simple point. Again, even if you buy the whole argument about we got to get off fossil fuels or whatever, just go with that for a second. It makes no sense as long as we have oil in California to import it. So there's a very simple common sense point. As long as we are using oil and gas, let's use California oil and gas.
Right. And keep the jobs here, keep the regulations lower.
And the gas is very important because that connects to the other really big cost that is driving people crazy, which is their electric bills. So electric bills, like gas prices, the highest in the country, including higher than Hawaii in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, which is insane, even though we have oil reserves. On electric, we are highest in the country apart from Hawaii. They've doubled electric bills in the last 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
More than doubled.
I lived in Texas for a brief period of time. And in the past 5 years, we were paying $80 a month. Here, like 800.
I know. So so why? Because again, they're insane climate crusade. So they're pushing endlessly wind and solar, which when you look at all the subsidy, they now claim solar's cheaper. It's not, because when they say it's cheaper, they don't take account of the cost of battery storage because the sun doesn't shine at night. The geniuses haven't worked that out. The extra transmission lines you have to build, actually it's not cheaper. What actually would be cheaper and more reliable is to use natural gas.
Right.
So we have already in California a fleet, as they call it, of gas-fired power stations.
Well, the only way they can make their policies work is by lying about the fact that they don't work.
Exactly. And so the thing is that we've got these power stations that are running 10 to 15% of their capacity. They're not quite shut down. They use them now as top up for wind and solar. But if you ran them at full capacity, that could provide all our energy needs certainly for the next foreseeable future.
Then they're even looking at shutting down Diablo Canyon.
Well, that's 10% of our electric just gone. I mean, we need long term. I mean, here's my simple energy policy, which is kill wind. And I'm not against solar. I just don't want to subsidize it. Kill wind, no solar subsidies, natural gas to generate electricity today as a bridge to nuclear, which is actually the long-term.
Right. That's the best energy.
But that takes time to come on board.
Well, especially since we haven't been trying to do that for how many decades?
Exactly. So, but we've got these gas-fired power stations just sitting there, and we have natural gas in abundance in California. So it's not just oil we have gas, which we could be using, but we're not. I mean, just actually in the farm show today, I saw a really interesting, like decentralized gas electricity generator, actually, that is a really interesting company. They built these, and they're kind of modular ones, and so they can put them in to provide electricity for example, hospitals or a small community. They don't get disrupted if the grid goes down and whatever. So you've got all this opportunity if we just use gas that we have here.
Yeah. So let's talk about the golden ticket now.
So this is really part of, again, my philosophy on this, which is to take it really seriously and say, this is going to be different this time. We're not just running for the sake of it. I'm running because I'm very serious about this. And I intend to be the next governor. And I intend to turn things around rapidly in California. And I know, because most of my career has been in business, I've worked for a little while in the government as well, back in the UK. You don't do anything on your own. It's a team. It's always a team. And you've got to put together, a real leader is about the team and the team you put together. And again, I've been doing that now, not waiting till the election, till the election is over. And especially for these statewide offices, traditionally, it's not done like this. You've got these 8 statewide offices in California that are elected directly, and they all do it independently. And then they get to Sacramento and they don't work together and nothing happens. And everyone's just doing their own thing. So I decided I don't want to do it like that. I want to put together a team so that we can work together. So that's what we've been doing. And we're not at the end of that process, but so far we have Gloria Romero. She's running with me for lieutenant governor. I first met her. She was previously the Democrat leader in the state Senate. And then she was always really passionate, particularly her main issue was education.
Okay.
And she was always a big advocate of parents' rights and school choice. So, of course, that brought her into conflict with the teacher unions. She actually passed some really good legislation. This is like 10, 15 years ago, working with Republicans to get it through. But then, she was termed out. And then over the years, as she puts it, the Democrats left her because they went crazy.
Like they did so many other people.
Exactly, like Bobby Kennedy or Tulsi Gabbard. And, there's a long list.
On and on.
Leo Terrell. And so the thing is that I first came across Gloria when she was working with Rick Grinnell on a school choice ballot initiative. And she, Rick and Gloria came on my show and we became friends. She's been on the board of my policy organization for the last 3 years, Golden Together. She's running as lieutenant governor with me. And it's a really great combination, actually. We're friends. We get on very well. She's been in Sacramento. That was the number 2 position in state government, head of the state Senate. And I'm an outsider, which I think is good. I'm going to go there with a fresh perspective to shake things up. But she'll be there to help me understand. I always say how it works or how it doesn't work. So that's, and also she'll be particularly focused on education. Like, in a way, my real focus will be, smashing this administrative state, the bureaucracy, the taxes, the regulations, the bloat, the corruption. There's a lot to do there. Energy, all these things. Gloria really has expertise in education. So that's that. Then you've got Attorney General. Again, a really important position because a lot of what I want to get done, as we've been discussing, is going to be through executive action, executive orders. That all of that is made so much easier if you have an Attorney General who's your partner to get it done, because their legal opinions
rather than a Rob Bonta.
Rather than Rob Bonta. So imagine if it's me there trying to do all this, and you've got a Democrat, you've got Rob Bonta literally trying to block me at every turn, filing lawsuits. With my guy, it'll be the opposite. And my guy is a very strong fighter. Everyone who knows him understands. Michael Gates. He was the city attorney in Huntington Beach. That's when I first came across him. He was fighting Newsom on everything, on housing mandates, voter ID, the sanctuary state law, filing lawsuits, pushing back on you.
Well, every conservative in California knows how great of a job Huntington
Beach. Well, that's why I launched my campaign there. It really symbolized the fight that I think we need. And Michael Gates was right at the heart of it. So he's running with me for
Well, we'll need to get him on this show too.
Very much. He's fantastic. He's actually going to be here at the town hall tonight.
Well, then let's talk to him.
We're doing a lot together.
Awesome.
That's, by the way, one of the nice things about this. We really are working as a team.
Right.
Like, we talk all the time. For example, when the Minnesota thing was happening a couple of weekends ago, or whenever it was, Michael and I were talking about that. We put out a joint statement about how we would approach it, if anything, and how to avoid things like that happening here, because we'd obviously cooperate to enforce the laws, including federal immigration law. But then you've got the fourth member so far, the golden ticket. Very important, again, when you think about all the fraud and the waste and the bloat in the government, is the state controller position. That's really important.
Very
because
important.
The state controller has the power to audit any organization receiving state money, open the books, get in there and actually cut off the supply of money, to stop the money.
Key position for Cal Doge, right?
Exactly. So here's the way that's going to work. There's a guy called Herb Morgan. He was introduced to me by Carl DeMaio, actually. Introduced me to him. He's out from San Diego. And Herb is a very serious finance guy. He sold his business to Howard Lutnick, President Trump's commerce secretary, and worked with him very closely for years, and really understands, finance. He's a very serious player, and he's putting together this plan for radical transparency. So there's no hiding place for fraud. So there's two things we're going to do. Number one, from when he's elected onwards, going to really open the books so we see where the money's going, but also looking backwards. And this is why Michael Gates comes into it for prosecutions. We're going to go after the fraud. Going to go after these people right now.
Gavin's not going to run for president. He's going to be in jail.
No, we are going to go after it very strongly. I mean, I make this point, actually. One of the useful things is that when I'm governor this time next year, starting to clean up the mess that Newsom left behind, I will also, in that process, be revealing to the whole country just what a disaster he's been. And that's a warning to the country not to elect him. But going back to the state controller position, the Cal Doge, once we're elected, actually will sit within the state controller's office.
Oh, awesome.
And so we've really thought all this through. We launched it together, myself, Gloria, Michael Gates, and Herb. We launched Cal Doge together because it will require all of us, to make this happen, working as a team. I feel very strengthened by this partnership, because it just gives me confidence to know that we've got these strong people there, qualified, serious people, credible people who will be helping me and will take certain parts of what needs to be done and lead on it. And we know that we've got good, strong, common sense fighters in those positions, and there'll be more. But it's so far, and no one's ever done it like this before. You've never seen it from a candidate for either party. But I've always said, it's not going to be easy to win this year. It's going to be difficult. But if we do it right and we do it in a different way with energy and force, I think we can
let's
make it
talk
happen.
about that, right? Because I've heard you say it a dozen times, right? But people are like, well, can a Republican really win in California? And I know you've done the math on this. So
well, there's a couple of things I point to, which is number one, the times we're in. This is the year if it's going to happen, because the Democrat one-party rule is really collapsing in people's trust. So even since the last governor's race, that basic question that pollsters ask, which is, is the state going in the right direction, wrong direction, time for change or whatever, has moved very negative for Democrats. It's now that the answer to that question is, 60%, 65% or more wrong direction. In other words, there's a majority for change.
Yeah,
that's a good starting point. Next up is, well, can that translate into Republican votes enough to win statewide? And people say, well, there aren't enough votes. That's just not true. And it's all about turnout. In a midterm election, which is in the national, we have elections all across the country, it's the midterms. Any political expert will tell you in midterm elections, it's all about turnout.
Right.
And getting your people out to vote. And if we do a good job of that, we can win. Here's how. If you look at the numbers, the sort of expected vote in California, if nothing else changes, you basically take the average of the last two, 2018, 2022, and that gives you a total vote projection of 11.7 million votes. So to win, you need 5.9 million, roughly half of that. President Trump in 2024 in California, without even campaigning here, they didn't spend money on ads. The Trump campaign wasn't targeting California at all. They got 6.1 million votes. So more than enough.
The votes are here.
The votes are here. As I sometimes put it, if everybody in California who voted for President Trump in 24 votes for me for governor in 26, I'll be elected with 200,000 votes to spare.
So what are we doing?
So the things that will get the vote out.
There we go.
Number one, really important, voter ID. That's such a great result. Again, Carl DeMaio, Reform California, also the Orange County Lincoln Club had a big part to play getting it on the ballot. I was there helping collect signatures, and many people watching I know were part of that movement too. So it's on the ballot. Voter ID, now it's popular across the board. There's a majority for it, including among Democrats in California, but it's really popular with Republicans, like 95%.
Right.
And so people will come out and vote for that. Right. And that will help us boost the turnout. Right. Very, very important. And then the next thing is we've got to have a clear message and a strong ground game. The clear message is why, I think that's why this TV debate that we had the other week, I won it so clearly because I was clear. I didn't mess around. I think for too long, Republicans have said, maybe whoever, the sort of view has been the only way a Republican can win in California is to be kind of slightly watered down, a little bit Democrat-like. No, you can't be squishy. You can't be wishy-washy. No one's going to vote for that. You've got to be clear and strong. And so when all these, like the ridiculous, they come out with these, the sort of quick fire round, all these things like, will you continue Newsom's policy of banning gas cars and all this? And you just got to be clear. No, we're not going to do this insane thing any longer. We're going to end their climate crusade. We're going to end these ridiculous policies. We're going to end, again, really clear, end free healthcare for illegal immigrants.
Yep.
It's not okay. It's not fair that Californians struggle with their healthcare costs, and yet we're spending $20 billion of taxpayer money, free healthcare for illegal immigrants. That's going to end. And so I think you've got to, if you have clear, strong positions that are common sense, people will vote for that. They'll go out and vote for that. And actually, if you make it very tangible and practical, that's my campaign. It's very simple. $3 gas, cut your electric bills in half. Your first $100,000 tax-free. No more free healthcare for illegal immigrants, so we lower your healthcare costs, and a home you can afford to buy. Now, behind each one of those promises is a strong set of policy plans in great detail for how we get there. But in the end, you've got to give people something clear and strong to vote for. And that's what I've been doing in the campaign.
All right. So people ask me all the time, well, why do you like Steve? I was like, look, we've had how many interactions? Dozens, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Dozens of personal interactions. I like you because you're just down to earth, but I like what you stand for, right? And people are like, well, there's Chad, there's Steve.
Yeah.
I'm like, look, Steve's the one I know better. He's the one I've had personal interactions with. Definitely warm interactions, every single one of them. Hug every time I see you.
Yeah.
But I believe in the message. I believe in Cal Doge. I believe in the golden ticket.
Thank
you. I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to seeing you.
Yeah.
In the governor's mansion, man.
Thank you. And I am. It's exciting what we can do. I mean, I just see all these, these things that are just happening that are so terrible in our state, and just think, just a few months from now, it's a new day in California, and we're just back to what we are, which is the best place anywhere in the world. Not just in America, obviously America is the best country in the world. So if we're the best of America, then we're the best in the world to start and raise a family, to start and grow a business, to just live free and follow your dream, whatever that is. That this should be the best place in the world to do it. And achieving that is not some impossible dream. This is what it was like before the Democrats took over.
Right.
People can remember what it was like. It's not that long ago, and it's not that complicated to get to that. It's just cutting out all this ideological BS and just focusing on common sense, practical things, especially this, cutting down to size, this bloated, bureaucratic, nanny state government that is just generating all this, nonsense, the taxes, the regulations, it's all coming out of that. That's actually why Cal Doge really is at the heart of what we need to do, because that is what is driving everyone crazy, making everything so difficult and expensive in California. And that's where we start when I'm elected next year.
Okay. So the question is, first of all, he was with David Cameron, and he was a socialist.
Yes.
And he's not a U.S. citizen. So let's talk
all
about
right.
that.
So David Cameron was a conservative prime minister. He was the leader of the Conservative Party. I helped elect him leader of the Conservative Party and prime minister. Let's just start with that.
Yeah.
However, I will be the first to say, and this is well reported in the UK press, you can look it all up, that I got very frustrated in that government because we were elected on a platform of massively taking on the bureaucracy and decentralizing power and many of the things that actually we need to do in California. And I was there. It ended up being a coalition government with another party. Actually, I learned pretty well how to make that work. That wasn't really the issue. It was a reluctance to take on the bureaucracy. So I had very aggressive plans to cut the civil service, for example. You can look all this up, to 10% of its size, to cut 90% of the bureaucracy, massive cuts to welfare, which had become really bloated in the UK. I had very strong proposals. Remember, I was the senior advisor. I wasn't the boss, and quite right, I wasn't the elected person. And so in the end, I wasn't the decision maker. But I fought very, very hard for exactly the same things that I'm arguing now. There's one further thing that people need to understand, which is that I left there in 2012. Yeah. So he became prime minister 2010. I left in 2012, moved here with my wife and my sons, new life in California. But in 2016, I went back to the UK. I had a book that was published in 2015 called More Human, Designing a World Where People Come First, which is all about this topic, actually, decentralizing power. It's actually really, reflecting on my time in the government and what we need to do, what should have done differently. And in 2016, the paperback version of that came out, and I wrote an update because by then they'd put in the Brexit referendum to leave the European Union, and which to me was the symbol of the nightmare bureaucracy. I mean, I battled it when I was in 10 Downing Street. I came out in favor of Brexit. David Cameron was against it. The Brexit, when the UK voted to leave the European Union, that was the first sign of the populist revolution against globalism and the globalist agenda and ideology. And so I was actually right there at the beginning of that, in favor of Brexit against David Cameron. People sometimes either don't know that or forget that. In terms of being a citizen, I became a US citizen in 2021, one of the proudest days of my life. You can watch the video of that happening. Actually, it's, as I always say, it's a reminder of the madness of California, because it's during the lockdowns, and we all had to go and do it in whatever the federal building. I live in the Bay Area in
Yeah.
San Francisco, wearing the stupid masks and social distancing.
course,
Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? It reminds us how hard we have to fight for freedom.
We left California in
Exactly.
that time.
All right, there you go. And so I became a citizen in 2021. But more importantly, I'm not just become a citizen. I've officially renounced my UK citizenship.
And I knew that.
That's a process you have to go through, which I've done. But by the way, they charge you on the way out. This is short of money in the UK.
Right.
The fee was, I think, £482 to renounce my UK citizenship, which I've done. And so I'm all in for America and for California.
All right. Last question. Somebody came up with and it seemed like just far-fetched kind of bullshit anyway, but there was something that said, Steve Hilton, there was an email with Epstein and some other shit.
Oh, that's laughable.
You probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. This was someone I once worked with in 10 Downing Street. I don't remember what it was actually. Back in the day, this was like 2011, I think. So this is 15 years ago. But I do remember it because one of the things we were trying to promote was the UK as we're trying to get investment and jobs and all these things. And we're trying to promote the UK as a destination for movies.
Yeah.
The UK had a very strong post-production industry. And, you've got big, the James Bond movies and Pinewood, all these studios. And we wanted to encourage more movie making in England and in London. Woody Allen had been making his movies. He'd made about,
that's the name, yeah.
I think he'd made about 3 or 4, something like that, movies in a row in London. And we wanted to understand what we could do to attract more filmmakers, whatever. So one of the people I worked with said, sent an email to someone he knew, which I didn't know about, saying, we're trying to meet with Woody Allen when he's in London or whatever. That person, unknown to either of us, sent an email to Epstein saying, do you have a contact for Woody Allen? So it was like 3 steps removed. I didn't even know about it. So
like I said, I knew it was some kind of bullshit.
No, it's totally ridiculous. So I don't even take it seriously. But I'm happy to.
But it comes up, and I think it should be addressed, right?
Of course, because it's completely ridiculous.
Smash the misinformation.
Yeah,
fake
it's
news,
totally
right?
ridiculous.
All right,
exactly.
Steve. Thank you, brother. Appreciate
Good to
it.
see you.
I know we
Thank
got
you.
an event to get to.
Thank you.